I have a question for you.
Okay.
What what hill would you die on? What's something in your life, a hill, you would die on?
Like, for example, what would be?
Like, the hill I would die on is like something I would say that I'm convicted to forever. Like, that is like, that I will say that our mom loves her grandchildren more than she loves her children.
And you'll die on that hill.
I'm going to die on that hill. I believe it. You have a hill you'll die on?
Maybe I don't have any, core
Beliefs?
morals or beliefs. Maybe that's...
Well, welcome to the Whiskey Show.
I don't have a hill, I guess. My hill list.
I got a hill for you, Hill Rock.
That's the hill I'd die on. Hill Rock's pretty good.
Hill Rock Estate Distillery. That's what we're drinking today. It's a double cask rye whiskey. You're watching the Whiskey Show. I'm Ryan Balas.
I'm Alec Balas.
And this is made a couple miles away.
Yep.
In the Hudson Valley. This barrel is the Pedro Jimenez Owner's Special Reserve, 58.4% alcohol, which is 116
Yeah.
proof. That's pretty great.
116?
Yeah. Yeah, right?
No. 50
No,
what percent?
58.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 116.
I said 50.
0.4, almost 117.
Whew.
Whew.
That's going to burn, right?
A double cask. What does double cask mean?
No one knows. It's up for debate.
That's not true.
Double cask, I assume, is
Like double barrel, like barrel twice.
is finished in a second cask.
Right. Yes. Okay, sure. Yeah. So,
Yeah, double oaked.
yeah. And Pedro Jimenez is essentially a wine barrel, right?
Yeah.
So this is a double cask rye whiskey. It's a rye whiskey that has been finished in a wine barrel.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they call it double cask, not double oak, because
Right.
it's not just double straight oak. It's the
Yes.
the wine finish.
So a double oak like you would find with like Woodford Reserve is just like moving it to a new barrel or sometimes an old barrel, I guess. But like it's sitting in another barrel for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Usually a fresh barrel, I guess.
Usually
That
a
would
fresh
be-
barrel to get more of those wood sugars.
Right. So double cask is just like it's essentially finishing. This is finished.
Yeah, that's what this is saying.
And now finishing is a little bit of a I wouldn't say controversial topic, but people are kind of funny about it.
Yeah, I think if you have been into whiskey for the last 10 years plus, finishing is equivalent to covering up bad whiskey. But now, and especially in the last 2 years, I feel like it's so commonplace that it's perfectly...
It's actually a way
Great.
to elevate a lot of great whiskey.
It'll change it.
Yeah,
For sure, and
it's a
create
good
new
experiment.
whiskeys. I don't know if it elevates it. Yeah.
Hill Rock, from my understanding, they're a large estate. They say they're an estate distillery. All their photographs, they seem like they're people who are on an estate.
Yeah, I mean, we've been there too. It feels like an estate, long driveways,
really
beautiful
long-
grounds.
Yeah,
Smells like whiskey.
yeah. It's it's a farm, and they grow. I think most of the grades, like right outside the tasting room, is where their rye is growing.
Yep.
Which is great. We love that. And as I always say, story of craft is a story of place. It's nice to know the place. And this tastes, so you're shaking. You're getting the shakes. Alex getting the shakes. All right.
Too much talking, not enough walking.
Okay, baby. Here we go. Okay.
But yeah, I think, and so Dad was a part of that group where he's still a purist and is sort of anti-finishing.
Yeah.
I heard him explaining Angel's Envy to someone and was like, but it's finished. And I was like, I don't know what the but is. Like,
Yeah.
it's all part of a process. Like,
What's the butt, Dad?
Old Forester is finished.
Yeah.
The 1920 or whatever
Is
one.
it?
That's finishing is in a second. Once it leaves that barrel, to me, and you put it in something else, that's for a
Finishing.
short amount of time.
Yeah.
That's finishing.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
Whether it's a new white oak barrel or it's a old wine barrel.
Well, whatever it is, you're taking it out of that single.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure maybe there's some more nuance there that I'm unaware of that a distillery could tell us, or a whiskey savant. What are they called? The people that
They're
are
called
somms of whiskey.
They are called whiskey. not connoisseurs.
Like monger?
No, like a cheesemonger.
Yeah, but those kind of people.
Yeah, those folks. I'm gonna try this real quick. On the nose, I get cherry right out of the gate.
Yeah, cherry, a little bit of oak.
Well, oaky cherry, mostly cherry for me. Maybe a little stone fruit.
Ooh, it's hard to.
Well, it's nearly 117 proof.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to nose it because like I'm getting more alcohol than.
I don't know the age on this fella, but maybe it says right here. I don't know. Nope.
Well, so that means it's got to be older than 4.
Ooh, yeah.
It's got a kick.
Yeah.
That has a kick.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like an amateur right now.
Yeah, well, ooh, I mean, we were, most of the episodes we've been doing lower E proof stuff. This is, I think, probably the highest proof thing that we've had on the program.
It's got some heat to it.
Yeah.
Also,
it's definitely like rye spice, like you're used to more traditionally.
That rye punch, yeah. Can you taste the wine cask there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get a little bit of that.
It's a lot in the finish.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of a funny thing about finishes. You taste them often in the finish. The finish being that last like little part of the taste experience.
Oh, that finish.
What do you call? So you got on the nose, right? That's when you smell it. Then when it hits the tongue,
it's palate.
It hits your palate.
That's the palate. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the finish is just that. So it's like nose, palate, finish.
Yep.
Is there anything in between?
Nope.
Back palate, front palate,
side palate, wood palate.
Well, so another thing. This is for folks who might not be as regular booze hounds as we are. And if you are, then you can finish my sentences or correct me when I say obvious wrong things. But chewing on it is a popular thing in whiskey, right?
Yeah, there's a Kentucky chew and a Kentucky hug.
Well, you call it a Kentucky chew?
Sure.
Kentucky hug is like that first sip of bourbon when it kind of like burns your chest, and the chewing is just a way to kind of like let the flavors hit your palate. I've often heard like when you're first trying something, the best thing to do is just like get a small amount, just like because you need to open your palate a little bit.
Well, you need
especially something like this as a higher proof. You don't want to just take a big sip of this, gulp it.
No, it's not cool.
Not only is it like not cool, you're just not going to enjoy what you're drinking. But if you put a little bit, open your palate, let your tongue say like, oh, this is the party I'm going to.
Yeah, you need the alcohol just to kind of get introduced. And then you can, especially after that first sip, you're going to be able to taste a lot more of the notes.
Yeah. I dig that. You dig that?
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would need, if I was being realistic, maybe a little bit of ice on a big rock to just kind of like dilute it a little bit. I think it's good to start really high, and then it will as it dilutes, and you won't lose too much proof along the way.
Yeah, I think that there's this funny idea that like we're working our way towards like higher proof, and higher proof is, I don't know if it's manlier or more pure whiskey or less water, so it's whatever.
How God intended.
Neat. And some people drink neat because like, how could you have it with rocks? First of all, rocks open up the flavor for a lot of whiskeys. So the best way to drink whiskey, as everyone says, is the way you like it. But something higher proof, I'm with you. Throw an ice cube in there because that first couple of sips are just going to be colder. They're not going to be, it's not enough water to water it down. Yeah. And as it does a little bit, as it does start to melt, the flavors are going to open up and you're going to have a fuller flavor experience. And that's why we're drinking this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
If you got if you've already been drinking the higher proof for a time period, your palate might be fine. So, but especially if you're drinking it for the first time, you're like, what is this shit? Yeah. This is fucking burning my mouth. Like, I don't like it. Then definitely.
Yeah.
If you want, that's how you're going to get the most out of the experience. So.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
Handcrafted.
I know. We're drinking New York whiskey this whole entire season, and it's such a joy. We were debating. We're like, all right, well, what do we want to bring to the table here? Do we want stuff that people recognize, that they might have home, they could drink with us if they're not New Yorkers? And we really came to the conclusion that we want to like open some minds, right? Let's try some stuff. This again, as you probably recognize, there's a theme here. A lot of rye in New York, and this is certainly no exception. But now we're playing with a double cask. with a wine finish. Like that's something kind of fresh to the table.
Would you eat food with this?
Peanuts, little fruits, maybe like the little stone
little
fruits.
charcuterie board.
Little charcuterie
No
board.
big bites.
No big bites. Absolutely not. Would you?
I don't really drink, I don't really drink.
Yeah,
that's my first time.
okay. Yeah, tell that to my pastor.
I don't really. You don't have a pastor.
I don't.
No, I would. I don't eat when I drink alcohol because I feel like they cancel each other out. I feel like I'd have like wine with food.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna.
They work in tandem in a way.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really eat. I could see a lot of people having like steak and a whiskey, but
here's my ideal.
It numbs your palate, so you're losing out on flavor of the food. I'd rather have it afterwards.
Yeah,
like a dessert.
My ideal. Well, if I'm going to drink a cocktail during dinner, it better be a gall darn martini.
I'll have a cocktail.
I love to have a Manhattan before dinner. Order some oysters, as some people call regionally speaking. Get some oysters. Enjoy those, maybe with my Manhattan. And then when I get a regular dinner, I like to drink seltzer water, or something to kind of just like, or a martini, but I don't switch spirits usually during a meal.
Yeah.
And then I end after my meal, rather than a coffee, I'll take a higher proof, something neat.
I do love an espresso after dinner.
I do love an espresso after dinner, no doubt about it.
No.
But... and it does feel like when you do that, you've had a full meal experience.
Yeah. Do you like, this is something I don't like.
Okay.
Booze in sweets, like ice cream.
Oh.
Like a alcoholic milkshake.
Oh, yeah.
Do not like
I don't think you should be mixing dairy with spirits. Although I've done it maybe a few times. It hasn't been as big a deal as I thought it would be.
You mean like milkshakes?
Yeah.
Because say dairy is incorporated in lots of cocktails and stuff.
Yeah. Well, even that I don't totally love when dairy's mixed in with my cocktails. Yeah. I mean, even egg whites is questionable at times. It's good, but come on. I'm a firm believer, truly. That's what my mom always says. Truly. That a good cocktail really should be 3 ingredients, maybe 4. I don't like when things get too crazy. That doesn't need to be. And that's because I'm also drinking them with good spirits, right? I try to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my old fashions sometimes don't have simple syrup or anything. It's just, I guess it's just whiskey and bitters a lot of the time. So, and maybe some orange peel.
Yeah.
Or some orange bitters.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite bitters other than Angostura?
No.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do make, Reagan's number 6 or whatever, orange bitters.
Yeah.
After Gary Reagan.
Who's that?
It's like a cocktail legend.
Oh. I don't know, actually.
Well, he is. And yeah, he has an orange bitters. I think he's no longer with us.
Some of the greats. That's kind of the sad part about, and I don't know that person's story. But... some of the
Dave Pickerel, for example, cocktail artist.
Dave Pickerel's a great example. Let's talk about him for a second. We are drinking Hill Rock. Dave Pickerel was the guy who developed the Hill Rock mash bill.
He did. He was their master distiller.
He's
initially
listed as master distiller. He was a consultant. He was a big rye rye advocate when it's in its rise. And he's sadly passed away. But everyone we've spoken to about Dave Pickerel just seems to think he was the greatest guy who just loved this stuff. I was just gonna say, it's like people, some of the greats, they don't live huge long lives, I guess, but then you have folks like over at Wild Turkey,
the Russell family
living long, full lives.
Oh yeah,
smoking cigars and drinking.
Hey, maybe it's all your own body makeup.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
That's what makes
God, isn't that sort of scary? Like you sort of already, you can make some good health choices, right? You can kind of curb things one way or another, but like you were at the mercy of your genetics.
A little bit, yeah.
Not a little bit, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like I had this doctor, I was just like, oh, I feel this or that. He's like, oh, what, do your parents have that? Any issue with that? No. Okay, you're fine then. Damn. It's like, what? Really? It's like that. Fool. It really felt like, all right, well, yeah, like our parents have diabetes.
Diabetes, so you're gonna have it.
And so it's like, well, there's a good chance that at some point, but most of that's diet, like when you're young at least. And so it's like, I don't know. We're sort of we're on these like we're just these little human beings on these tracks. It's just like coming down the factory line.
Yeah, it's like, woo, birth, you're a little baby, and then we're like, where are we going?
Where are we
Towards
going?
Death.
Towards
Straight to death.
No,
there'll be ups and downs, but we're going to death.
Yeah, it's one of the experiences. That's all. It's just the same.
Hey, man, if you go around this thing once, fuck it, have a hell of a ride.
Yeah. Fuck yes.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. You've had a good ride, you think, so far? You're 30 years old?
I'm a little bit into it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just learning to enjoy the ride, which sucks.
Yeah, me too.
But doesn't suck either.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, no time better than now.
Yeah. I'm almost a year into therapy, and I feel like I'm like, man, how was I living before that?
Yeah, maybe
I was living behind the curtain.
Maybe that's what the show should have been called.
Therapy?
Whiskey therapy.
Whiskey therapy.
And then we definitely put the disclaimer up front. Like, this is just our opinion, but we're going to have a whiskey and talk about life.
We should start another program called Whiskey Therapy.
We should.
Yeah. So if you're
listening to Whiskey
go looking for it. You just never know.
No, this is the Whiskey Show, which includes sometimes Whiskey Therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we, again, disclaimer, don't
these are just opinions.
Use your brain.
Use your brain. These are just opinions.
But
we are the Wayne's World of the whiskey world.
You did start therapy, and you started not a traditional therapy, which is of course.
I signed a disclaimer saying this is not traditional therapy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you did.
Yeah, first day one. Should have saw that as a red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
No, it's great. It's based on a traditional psychologist, Carl Jung. It's Jungian dream work. It's just that it's I think, traditional talk therapy incorporates dream work into its process. I'm doing exclusively dream work. So it's like centered completely around dreams.
You feel like it's missing out on some of those other fun
No, because what it is it's just like a lot of things. It's just a way in.
Yeah.
It's just a way in. So like
different door, same room.
Yeah. And I think people, when I tell them that, they think that I'm just like interpreting dreams like, oh, the snake means boner, or whatever, and it's not that, because people are like, well, tell me what my dream means. I'm like, you got to have context around where you are psychologically.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing about it. Like I spend plenty of time just filling in my therapist or my analyst or whatever with is
that what he is, an analyst?
Well, that's what he refers to his person as. So maybe
the data.
Yeah, I might call him an analyst. But we talk first before we get into dream stuff. But then most of it is like you bring a dream to the table and then you free associate. So I close my eyes and like go back into the dream. Like, well, and then you kind of like riff off of that. And it just sort of helps you like.
What if you don't have any dreams to come to the table with?
Well, then you could start with like.
Dreams you've had?
You could definitely do that, because if you remember a dream, it might have a lot of meaning, But like there was a time where I really didn't know. We just kind of like, I was a little hyperactive and all over the place. It's just like, close my eyes. What do you see? I'm like, I see a tree. All right, well, where is that tree? It's in Indiana. Where in Indiana? That's in my grandpa's backyard. Oh, your grandpa? Which grandpa? My mom's dad. Oh, what was he like? You know what I mean? It just starts to like, you go down. And that's the subconscious that's working in your dream is also working in your life. Or working in that moment too. If you allow it. And plenty of people are just like answering questions. They can't do that. Because I think I'm a creative person, or at least I can think in metaphor or abstractly, I can like free associate pretty comfortably in an authentic way for me. Like I feel like I'm like, But even that, what's really cool is like, there's another layer to all of it, right? Which is like, you go, okay, well, I don't know. I just don't feel like doing this right now. Oh, what's that feeling? You know what I mean? Like why do you feel like that? I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. What's uncomfortable about it? You know what I mean? So it's just always in. It's the same, And I started thinking about this too, and maybe I'm going too far. I just had a little bit of whiskey.
Just keep going.
I started thinking about how so much of this stuff, it's like the same damn trip, as they say. Like I think of Carl Jung and like the relationship with the subconscious, and like I'm in communication with my subconscious. it's just like prayer in some ways. Like people who have like Christians who have like revelations, right? It's like, that's like feeling like you're sending a message, you know, and kind of like picking up what's coming back. Yeah, what's resonating with you. That's like
changing, moving forward.
I see it as like interacting with your subconscious, but like I think some people might see that as like praying and having revelations. Or, you know, like you have, so there's like a psychological approach, there is a religious approach, spiritual approach, Ram Dass, like someone like that, who's sort of like, you know, we're working on different planes and all that stuff, like, and, you know, we're dealing with our egos. Like, I don't know, I started to think that like psychology, religion, spirituality, and probably other stuff in the mix are all sort of the same thing.
What was your first revelation in whiskey?
My first whiskey revelation?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, so like when I was in college, it was like when I first started drinking. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a whiskey revelation, but like that was the first time where I was like, was like laying there and I was like kind of drunk. I was by myself in a room and I was like, hey, there you are. I've been waiting for you. You know, I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh, that voice in my head wants to talk to me.
Weird.
He wants me to pull the fire alarm at a hotel and run through it naked.
My voice wants me to do bad things.
No, I don't know. I think honestly, Woodford Reserve. When I started drinking Woodford Reserve, I was like, oh, whiskey doesn't have to just be like this hard thing to drink that cowboys drink.
Yeah,
and it's not just for being sad. It's like it can be as good an experience as having a wonderful meal at a fine dining restaurant. What about for you?
First whiskey revelation was, honestly, I mean, it was past thinking I liked whiskey and past being like, whiskey's awesome. Yeah. It was when we had Weller Foolproof. Cause like so much happened and I think that's what, gave the ability to have the revelation was drinking whiskey for like a year prior to that. Yeah. Like actively and aware, using awareness when
nearly
I was drinking
every week. Nearly every day.
Yeah. A lot, especially during COVID. I mean, there's a lot of whiskey drinking, but it's basically through COVID. And then when we kind of got together again and someone got a bottle of Weller Foolproof, and we tasted it, and so many things happened at that high proof. Yeah. And it was experience. It was good whiskey, good experience, and something really interesting happening. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is what I'm chasing every time. Yeah. Yeah. Like that, I don't want, daily sipper makes me want to throw up. Daily sipper? Yeah. Why the fuck would you want a daily sipper? It's like, there's filet mignon. Like, I want the cheap steak I can have every day. Yeah. No. Not really. That's not what I'm going for. I'm not chasing just give me another steak to get to tomorrow. I want that filet mignon. I want that experience. I want that incredible taste. That doesn't mean it's cost more, but in the case of Weller Foolproof, it did. Or whiskeys like Copper Sea, their single barrel, their 10-year anniversary one that we've had, like that was like really, really special. Yeah. And that makes it more worth it to me. I don't necessarily need alcohol that way. Yeah. But I enjoy the alcohol side effects with those fun experiences. Yeah. My friend who's a chef said to me, I said, I don't know anything about food. Like I love food, and I'm passionate about filming it and eating it and having these great experiences, but I don't really know anything about food. And she was like, no, that's not true. Like, you know how to drink, you know that you need to look for stuff. It's like, you really are deeper in it than you realize. And I think that was sort of a revelation to me too. It's like, I can't sit and say I'm just on the sidelines all the time. Once it's not about like, auxiliary knowledge or something, or having like a degree in something or working professionally in something. At some point, it's about the urge to experience. As a human being. That's the thing that makes it special. And fear is what keeps you out of certain arenas or taking responsibility for your feelings that you have towards something. Like sometimes even with whiskey, I'm like, oh, there's these people that are, whiskey experts, and they're distillers or whatever. There's like podcasts that have been like deep dives, and they have access to interviewing all these people.
Yeah.
Or like, like there's a YouTube channel, this great channel of these guys in Texas that make, they do all kinds of fun, interesting whiskey experiments and stuff. But I'm like, our experience is no less or more valuable than theirs.
Yeah.
Even though they're approaching whiskey differently.
Yeah.
This show is all about us experiencing whiskey and whoever wants to do it with us.
Yeah.
And there doesn't need to be any other aspect to it. We don't need to educate. We're not here to educate necessarily.
Yep.
We're just here to share our experience and use whiskey to look at ourselves and each other and try to reach some other level of being a good person.
Yeah, okay.
Just kidding. I'm here to get drunk.
Hey, I'm Ryan Balas. This is my brother,
Alec Balas.
and this is the Whiskey Show. And as our great grandfather would say with his brother, to drink
Is to live.
is to live.